Hello everyone, this is Jotto, bringing you the Hearthstone Hospital. Today we are talking about the Hunter, the Mage, and the Paladin, the Tier 2 heroes. The heroes which everyone strives to be in terms of balance. So as a result, we're changing some quality of life things for playing against and with these classes. We're buffing up some of the meh cards, nerfing down some of the retarded cards, things like that. Also, from the last episode, a certain card called Mark of Nature happened to be slightly too powerful. So, yeah, we're thinking that they should just not have Taunt. The Treants with Taunt seems a bit excessive, along with the Death Rattle. It was like, we managed to design a more powerful version of Feral Spirits, weirdly enough. But anyway, so, starting with the Hunter cards. Gladiator's Longbow. I know it's played by some people. It's played in control decks for a reason I don't really understand. I guess it's to get through Taunt or something. I know in Beast decks it's used to get through Taunt. That's as much as I know, but it always felt bad. It was a feel-bad weapon, because you just wished it was an Eaglehorn bow. Like, every time. It cost 7 mana for that effect. 7! Like, Eaglehorn bow never leaves. That's why it's so powerful. Gladiator's Longbow is 2 attacks for 7 mana. It costs so much that it doesn't fit on the curve. And it disrupts your own tempo by playing this, weirdly enough, because it's a weapon. So what we decided to do was change it to 6 cost, so it fits on the curve better. And we noticed that Hunters have a lot of issues with draw power. Most of their stuff is cycling. They don't actually have proper draw power. So we changed it to whenever your hero attacks, draw a card, while keeping the stats the same. So the idea is it comes down turn 6 on the curve, and you can knock down a Taunt minion. You take some damage back, but you can knock down a Taunt minion, draw a card, it cycled itself, you get 2 cards out of it. It just feels like a more efficient way of getting draw power and fitting on the curve for these kinds of archetypes. Flare. Now, Flare, we felt as if control decks were abusing the cycle effect a bit too much. And with the new Gladiator's Longbow, we felt as if we could just rearrange the draw power a bit. So we increased the cost to 2. Because Beast decks were using it more for the utility against secrets. They were using it for the draw power every so often. But it was a lot more as a tech against stealth and secrets, so they didn't get stomped into the ground by like Hunter control decks and things like that. But the cycle effect on 1 mana, it felt too powerful with the extra 2 effects, so we just changed it to 2 a cost. And that just makes it slightly worse in Hunter control decks, while keeping it roughly the same in Hunter Beast decks. So, the Hunter conclusion on this is it makes the actual Hunter control stays roughly the same, because we added some draw power, but made some of the draw power weaker. So it stays roughly the same, slightly more powerful, but not by much. Hunter Beasts, however, they don't lose much on the Flare change, but they're actually okay with the Gladiator's Longbow. They get more draw power, it's on the curve. It makes Hunter Beasts more consistent, and makes Hunter Control sort of equally as powerful, because we didn't want to buff up Control while buffing Beasts, because then Control is still obviously better. So now I'm going to pass on to my partner in crime, Tali, who is going to talk about the Mage changes.
Hey guys, what's up? So first we have Mirror Image. Now, while this card can be good in certain God Draw opening hands, combined with things like Mana Worm or Arcane Missiles, or even both, through the mid-game its potency and its usefulness just fell off, so we decided to buff it to 0/2s instead. And because things like Knife Juggler and Mana Worm exist, we increased its cost by 1. And then we have Water Elemental. Now, this card has 9 stats with that effect. I mean, that's just absolutely insane. Besides Chillwind Yeti and Ancient Brewmaster, there's not a single card in this game that has that much stats. And especially with so much health. Like, that's the big issue here, because it's so hard to kill. Anyway, this card is just absolutely amazing regardless. It just wrecks weapon classes if they can't deal with it. And if they use removal on this, other things will come into play a lot safer. So we decided to lower its health by 1, which means it will actually be killable. It still has really solid stats regardless, but now it is actually possible to kill it. Onto Icelands. The problem with this card, in my opinion, was that it was rarely worthwhile to play before you play the freezing effect, which meant at the earliest it would be turn 3 with coin. With the change we made, it would be worthwhile to play it against heavy aggro decks. In the end, if you look at other one-cost spells, this card's effect of just freezing a target wasn't good enough. In conclusion, I think we stabilized their early game slightly through Mirror Image as well as Ice Lance, but we nerfed their early mid-game slightly with the reduction of Water Elemental's current ridiculous HP.
So, now onto Paladin, arguably the most balanced class in the game. However, some of the cards are just unplayable, and some of them are too powerful, so let's start with an unplayable one, shall we? Eye for an Eye. Now, the problem with the Secret is the effect looks powerful. The problem is, most of the time, it either flips over a Knife Juggler trigger and does a massive 1 damage to your opponent, or it flips a Pyroblast and makes the other guy cry. So basically, we've changed this to be more consistent and to actually be a reliable secret that secret-based Paladin decks can play. We changed it to when an enemy attacks, deal 3 damage to it. Now, while this looks very similar to Noble Sacrifice, and it looks more powerful, it's saying, no, you're crazy, it does more damage than Noble Sacrifice, they're different. Early game, Eye for an Eye would be stronger because it deals more damage and can actually deal with 3 drops. However, late game, Noble Sacrifice, it can be buffed up by Sword of Justice, and it can also redirect the attack so you don't take the damage. Because remember, even if the creature doesn't die, you still take the 8 to the face from that Ironbark Protector. So, now we'll be going on to Divine Favor.
Now we changed Divine Favor to be at mana cost 3. Purely because it was drawing way too many cards for its mana cost. The ratio was just way off. Because it was actually doing that, it was allowing you to make more mistakes that you shouldn't get away with. Divine Favor, Tyrion, anyone.
Yeah, fair enough. So, on to Light's Justice. Now, this weapon feels quite frankly useless in its current state. It doesn't do much. It comes down turn 1, and then you feel super awkward because no one plays 1-drops anymore that have, 1 health, because mages and rogues and things exist. So it just feels super awkward. It just sits there doing nothing for a lot of the time until a better weapon comes onto the board. So what we decided was to make it more of a proactive weapon by making it Battlecry, deal 1 damage, but we exchanged that for a durability. So the idea is on turn 1, if they played a Leopardome or something, you can put it on the board, deal 1 damage to the Leopardome, kill it, and then attack him for 1. Or on turn 2, if they played a Knife Juggler, for instance, you can play a Seeker and then play this thing and use the Battlecry and the attack to kill the Knife Juggler. Just makes it a more proactive weapon overall and gives it more utility.
Now Equality. Now, this card is absolutely amazing, I have to say. The thing is, Equality at mana cost 2 just felt way too efficient. And while it does hit your side of the board, the ability to Equality Consecrate on turn 6 felt too powerful overall. Now, we don't want it to be too costly and give Paladins yet another 4-drop, so we changed it to a 3 cost. This also prevents Equality Avenging Wrath combinations as an alternative.
On to Holy Wrath. This is never played. Why? Because you have to pick the target before you draw the card, which means most of the time you just spend 5 mana to cycle a card and do 1 damage to the thing because you drew a secret and you feel awful about it. So what we decided to do is change it to draw 2 cards and deal damage equal to the highest mana cost. This looks slightly overpowered, so what we did is we changed it to 6 cost. Now, in mid-range decks, for instance, where I think this would be best, it's going to be doing between 4 to 6 damage most of the time, but it'll still flip over, 1 and 2 drops, so you still don't feel too good about it. Just adds more consistency to the card and gives a draw alternative for these mid-range Paladin decks that they really don't have them. They can't use Divine Favor that much. Lay on Hands is too costly. They needed something in the mid-game. So, Paladin Conclusion. Basically, we nerfed down their sort of weenie strategies a bit by reducing the draw power through Divine Favor and reducing their ability to remove everything with Taunt with Equality. But we also made secrets better and their early game control better for mid-range decks and for control decks. Light's Justice and Eye for an Eye are now extra alternatives for early game control besides just, Noble Sacrifice, which is all they had. And now with the new Holy Wrath, they get some extra draw power in the mid game, which is something Paladins really did need. So, that's it for the Hearthstone Hospital. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. If you have any feedback about the Hearthstone Hospital show in general, post it in the comment section below. But as for now, this is Jotto and Tali signing off.
Peace out.